There are many motivations driving the stalker antagonists in horror movies, from lust to rejection to anger and even insanity. There is nothing more frightening than a seemingly innocent face turning evil, tracking you down and tormenting you. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary horror movie stalkers. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5, Greta from the movie Greta. Now this is a newer movie on our list and one that is very infrequently discussed, but I enjoyed it for what it was honestly. Will I return to it? Probably not, because I hate Chloe Grace Moretz. Why we cast her? I have no idea. Though she was good in The Miseducation of Cameron Post, but that was a gay movie, which is why I liked it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Released in 2018 and directed by Neil Jordan, Greta stars Isabelle Huppert and Chloe Grace Moretz, with the movie following a young woman, Frances, played by Moretz, who befriends a disturbed woman, Greta, who quickly becomes obsessed with her. Now, Frances tracks down Greta after finding her abandoned purse on the subway and returns it to her. Everything seems fine at first, I mean things always do, but when Frances discovers a cupboard in Greta's home filled with the exact same purse, indicating that she has been luring people for a very long time, things descend into mayhem. She begins to distance herself from the crazed woman, however Greta isn't that easy to shake off, and she begins stalking Frances, going to drastic lengths to keep her in her life. Greta is desperately seeking a surrogate daughter and Frances is looking for a maternal figure in her life, but this quickly turns into a nightmare scenario for Frances, as she is forced to fight for her life against a woman who wants to own her. Now the movie itself was met with split reviews, with the general consensus reading, a bonkers B-movie that's occasionally elevated by its A-list talent. Greta dives headlong into camp and struggles to stay afloat. Savage. In at number 4, we have Stalker from Urban Legend. This was an absolute favourite of mine growing up and I still return to it to this day. It's fun, scary, campy, and a damn great time for any Urban Legend lover out there. Released in 1998 and directed by Jamie Blanks, the movie stars Jared Leto, Alicia Witt, Rebecca Gayheart, and everyone's favourite Tara Reid. However, more importantly, it stars Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund. The movie is worth watching just for him, honestly, because a lot of it's pretty trashy. The plot centers on a private New England university which is plagued by a series of grisly murders which all appear to be modelled after popular urban legends, and all seemingly committed by a stalker in an oversized parka. Now a handful of legends included in the movie are as follows: the killer in the back seat, kidney heist, Bloody Mary, the babysitter and the man upstairs, and of course, pop rocks and soda. The movie covers it all while also being a whodunit story, with every student being investigated as the potential killer. And of course it's always the one you least expect. The movie is absolutely chilling and I will never forget the first time I watched it. Hearing the stuttering gas attendant yelling out to the woman frantically driving away, "Someone's in the back seat." It chilled me to my core. It follows is quite literally a movie about an entity stalking its victim, so of course it deserves a place on our list, and rightfully so. Directed by David Robert Mitchell and released in 2014, this supernatural horror follows a teenager named Jay, who after a sexual encounter with a guy is pursued by an unknown entity that intends to kill her and won't stop until it does, unless Jay passes it on by having sex with someone else. The film is reminiscent of classic 80s slashers, with the entities relentlessly stalking Jay, giving off Michael Myers vibes. They never run, simply walk, but they never stop. They will keep pursuing until they reach their victim and kill. If this doesn't sound bad enough, only the victim can see the stalker, so when Jay's friends step in to help her, they are helpless against the invisible entity. The movie has you on the edge of your seat from start to finish, with the entity seemingly appearing out of nowhere and never in the same form. Could be a giant man with no eyes, or a young boy, or even an old woman. No matter the form, they are going to try and fool the victim until they kill them and move on to their next target. But like I said, there is a way to stop the onslaught, having sex and passing the disease on to the next person. However, if the next person is killed by the entity, the disease reverts back to the previous owner. It's a lose-lose. Sucks to suck. Coming in at number 2, we have The Man from Hush. Hush is perhaps one of my favourite horror movies in recent years, with it bringing to the forefront a brand new protagonist, a deaf and mute writer named Maddie who was isolated in the forest and stalked by a killer. Directed by Mike Flanagan and released in 2016, Hush tells the story of Maddie, a writer who lives an isolated life in the woods, with her best friend Sarah living close by. However, on one particular night, a bloody Sarah comes banging and screaming at Maddie's door, but Maddie can't hear her, sending chills down our spines as we watch Sarah scream for help as a masked man approaches and kills her. He quickly learns of Maddie's conditions and begins to torment the woman, stalking the house and using his crossbow to attack. He is ruthless and unrelenting, having no reason at all to hurt her but doing so anyway because he can. Maddie is forced to defend herself the best way she can, using her inner monologue and talent for storytelling, while also making use of her other senses, which have been heightened since losing her hearing. Hush is an adrenaline ride with you rooting for Maddie more than you've ever rooted for a character in the past. The idea of someone trying to break into your home and kill you is terrifying enough, but imagine if you didn't have some of your primary senses. You can't call for help and you can't hear where he is. You're completely trapped. The suspense is crippling throughout the film, with Mike Flanagan bringing a breath of fresh air to a somewhat stale genre at the time, taking us all by surprise. And finally, in at number 1 we have Kurt Duncan from When a Stranger Calls. As one of the greatest and most influential horror movies in cinematic history, we talk about this film so infrequently, and enough is enough. Directed by Fred Walton and released in 1979, When a Stranger Calls stars Carol Kane, Colleen Dewhurst, Tony Beckley and Charles Durning, with it being the first movie to depict the legend of the babysitter upstairs on screen. The movie tells the story of a young high schooler who babysits for a wealthy family. However, things turn bad when she begins to receive threatening phone calls from an unknown man. Phone calls she first believes to be jokes, but she was very wrong, because the calls are actually coming from inside the house, and she should probably check on the children. The movie is so damn terrifying simply because a house is supposed to be safe. You're locked in behind closed doors. It's our comfort blanket. If someone gets inside, that all falls apart. You're instantly vulnerable. The movie also blessed us with one of the most iconic lines in cinematic history. Have you checked on the children? Chilling. And of course, all is not well with the children, which Jill learns pretty quickly. They dead. The movie has you on the edge of your seat, with the intruder Kurt being absolutely chilling. Now, if you haven't watched the movie, you may still be familiar with it without even realizing it. The first 12 minutes of Wes Craven's Scream is actually an homage to this classic horror movie. The more you know. This is certainly a movie you should check out or return to this Halloween. Just don't watch the Camille Bell one, because that was a piece of truth. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any horror movie stalkers that we missed? Leave us your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. Perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 best PG-13 horror movies. Casey Mueller 87 said, if there's a part 2, I recommend Underwater, Tremors and Critters. Well, I haven't watched Underwater yet, but Tremors and Critters, good picks, definitely. I do want to watch Underwater. I almost watched it on a plane the other day, but didn't. The Utuki said, The Ring is PG-13. Samara scared the crap out of me. She still scares the crap out of me. Her coming out of the TV, that's some up shit. No, thank you. Looks by Rayla said, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is my absolute favorite PG-13 horror movie in 2019. It is certainly damn terrifying. Mazdidium said, damn it Lucy, just had to sneak that Quiet Place spoiler in there, huh? LMAO, that's what I get for procrastinating on good horror flicks. Hashtag facepalm. It's not my fault. I never know what the editor's gonna leave in there. I always say things I shouldn't, like telling you who dies in movies, such as John Krasinski dying in A Quiet Place. Very tragic.
Lucy! You ruined it for me!
That's why you shouldn't film me! You haven't seen it!
I have no choice!
Why haven't you seen it?
I didn't know it was out!
A Quiet Place came out years ago.
Right, number 2.
2's not out.
Oh, that's weird.
He died in the first one. Did you not watch it?
Oh my god. Okay, we'll discuss.
He died in the first one when the kids are in the car, the alien's coming out, and John Krasinski goes, ah! And then it kills him. I sobbed like a baby.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm losing it.
Yeah, she is. Jojo Animation said, hey Lucy, I saw your dance and it was adorable. I almost died. It was so cute. All hail Queen Lucy. Joss is filming me. She also filmed that dance.
Yeah, it was so good. Should be on YouTube, really.
Yeah, maybe one day. Probably not, never. John Bullen said, Lucy, you have become my very favorite little Brit twit. I feel like that's a backhanded compliment because a twit is usually an insult, like you're an idiot, you're a twit. But thank you, I appreciate it. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. Until next time, see you later.
Okay.
Don't make me laugh, it's a horror thing. I can't show emotion.
It'll be funny.
In at number 5, Greta. Hold on. 2018, it was pretty good. Could have been better. and it, f off. And of course it's all, And of course... Oh, so you don't even know if you can hear me? Oh, I wish... Okay, cool. If this doesn't sound bad enough, only the target can... Target? Only the victim. There is a way to stop the arms... No! What's with this wheel? Stop wheeling. Having sex and passing the disease on to the next...
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna kill people.
That's so loud.
Stop it! Ah! I'm gonna flip a table.